As we work our way through Psalm 119 together this week, we are moving up to verse 81 in this psalm, and we're looking at a stanza that deals a lot with suffering. This psalmist loved the Word of God. It was his delight, and all the verses in this whole 176 verse chapter, except for 3 or 4, reference directly the Word of God and what that Word of God is doing in his life. And we're going to see that here in just a moment, but that doesn't mean that we don't have suffering. You can be a wonderful student of the Word of God. You can love it and memorize it and meditate upon it. It can be the heart of your life, and yet you still suffer in a world full of suffering. And so we know what that is. The issue is not that the Lord or His Word takes away our sufferings or our pains or the afflictions that we face. But that Word directs us and guides us, and we're going to see that throughout the rest of the week. As we look at verse 81, he's in the depths of suffering. He says, "My soul languishes for your salvation. I wait for your word." He's languishing, or he's anguishing here, either one word you want to use. He's struggling. He's about to slide off the table here. And I think you've been there. We all have. There's just a bunch of stuff has hit us. There's some difficult issues, maybe several things at once, and we're just listless. We're languishing. We're not doing well. And so as he thinks about that, what does he need? Well, he wants to talk about that in the rest of this particular stanza. In verse 82, he needs comfort. He says, "My eyes fail with longing for your word, while I say, when will you comfort me?" So he's crying out to God for comfort here. It's not come yet, apparently, not to the degree he needs. And so he's crying out for comfort, but he needs comfort, and he's asking God when he's going to show up to comfort him. Secondly, he's wasted. "Though I have become like a wineskin in a smoke, I do not forget your statutes." Now, I've not ever put wineskins in smoke before, but I have had the privilege of putting my shoes near a fire, trying to dry them out because I got them wet, only to find them shriveling up and being pretty much ruined. The wineskins would be the idea. You put these wineskins in the smoke, and they're going to get brittle and dried up. And that's the way he feels here. He's become like that shriveled, wasted person. And yet he doesn't forget God's statutes. He doesn't detach himself from the Word of God. He knows that his hope is found there. Maybe it's not found yet, but that's what he knows. In verse 84, he's struggling with the longevity of this suffering. "How many are the days of your servant? When will you execute judgment on those who persecute me?" I mean, he's saying here, look, this is going on too long. I mean, I can handle these difficult times, or in this case, apparently difficult people, for a period of time. But this is going on and on and on. Lord, I'm struggling with this. How long is this going to happen? And then he questions God's handling of all these things in verse 84. "When will you execute judgment on those who persecute me?" Come on, Lord. You know what they're doing. You know what needs to be done. Why don't you step up? That's going on in his mind. In verse 85, he sees a trap here. "The arrogant have dug pits for me, men who are not in accord with your law." These individuals are trying to trap him. They have dug pits. Of course, pits are traps, but they're also hidden traps, things that catch the prey when they're not looking or are unaware. And he knows what they're doing, but he's concerned about that. He also says in verse 86, "They're slanderous. All your commandments are faithful. They have persecuted me with a lie." So, Lord, the particular type of persecution that he's going through apparently is slander or lies. People are saying things about him that are not true. They're lying about him, and this deeply disturbs him, of course. And then in verse 87, he's about to collapse. "They have almost destroyed me on earth, but as for me, I did not forsake your precepts." They have almost taken me under. They have almost destroyed me. So this is one of the most difficult stanza in this particular psalm, but there are rays of hope on both ends. This psalm is booked, this section is booked in by verse 81 and verse 88. Verse 81 says, "My soul languishes for your salvation. I will wait for your word." And so, although he's not seen the help he needs yet, he is going to wait for it. He is believing it's coming. There's hope. And then in verse 88, "Revive me according to your loving kindness, so that I may keep the testimonies of your mouth." He sees once again God's loving kindness, his hesed, his mercy, his faithfulness, his love, and that sustains him during these difficult times. Those around him may prove unfaithful, but God never will. And that sustains him, and that sustains me, and that should sustain you. I trust that it does.